Welcome into the Gramlich and McLean podcast, presented by Ingles, the official supermarket of Gramlich and McLean. Happy Easter, by the way. We want to give a shout out there as we're recording this on the night of Easter. Hope everyone had a great time with family and friends. And of course, as people of faith, it's a big day for you and me, Max. So we had a great weekend down at the Heritage Golf Tournament. By the way, the rowback was popping. Specifically, my son was killing it with his rowback, I have to say. I love those little polos that for the toddlers. So we had a big time there. Of course, use our code GMPOD, 20% off. But Mac, I know you had a big weekend as well.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I am going to stick on the rowback train here for a second because I have to give you a ton of love, KG. I can't remember when. It was like a week ago maybe or so. And I get this text from you in the evening. And it says, they are back. And of course, what you mean by that is the little hoodies that Rowback has for my sweet baby girl, because all they've had is the boy colors.
I know.
Her whole life. Now they have them in pink, purple. I think there was one other girl color, and I bought all of them. So they're not quite here yet. You guys will just have to wait. And I bought T3. So she wears T2 in a lot of things right now. So I am praying that she doesn't have a crazy growth spurt and just skips over T3 by next winter. Hoping we stay in that range and she can actually wear these. If not, she will just be sweating wearing them in the summer. I'm fine with that. We'll get the content. Best believe.
Amelia, you're wearing this, okay? You're going to have to figure it out.
Outside. Put on the hoodie. Put it on.
It's their stuff for the little toddlers is so cute. Jacob's monster truck rowback polo was a big hit.
Yeah.
So big hit at the course.
Wasn't there one that you denied somebody a polo that they liked? Which one was it?
Oh.
Bacon and eggs?
See, okay.
Was that
I don't know.
Chicken wings? Which one was it? It was one of the two.
I want to hear people's thoughts on this, all right? Because my husband is a big fan of rowback. He got the breakfast ball, which is bacon and eggs, golf. He loves that one. And I'm like, okay, that one's fine. He wanted to get the one, and you just have to go find it on their site. I don't know the name of it. It's basically just chicken wings all over it. But from afar, it doesn't look like chicken wings.
It's a nice
at all.
pattern. You're like, this looks really good.
And my first thought was, that's a cool pattern. We click on it and it's just chicken wings. And I'm like, Nick, I just, he's going to the office.
Yeah.
He's engineering all day and he's wearing a chicken wing polo. I just didn't feel like it was the right time.
Yeah.
But others may disagree, Mac. I could totally see you rocking that chicken wing polo.
Of course.
I'd love to know what people think about the chicken wing polo.
Yeah. So please let us know. Just go buy it, show us, and when you buy it, use our code GMPOD, save you 20%. Okay, that's enough of that because today is a very big day, KG, as you mentioned, because it is all about the U. I've got my guy, Coach Mario Cristobal, joining us. He was amazing. Listen, Coach Mario Cristobal is one of the few coaches outside of Dabo Swinney, and I'm not going to go down the list. It's not a long list, but whatever, that I would want to coach for, that I would want to play for, that I want to be with, just because this dude loves ball. He's passionate. He cares. He cares about the place that he is at, and he's pretty freaking good. When you look at the trajectory of what they are doing, the wins that they've been accumulating. I know everybody wants championships right now, but building something takes time, and that's exactly what they're doing. So I love this conversation, KG. Before we get into it, a message from our friends at Ingles, and then we're going to talk to Coach Mario Cristobal.
Did you know that Ingles sells more organics than any other store? Or that they run their own dairy? Or that they only serve USDA choice and prime meat? Did you know that they have more local craft beer than any place else? Or that they have Energy Smart stores? Or that they professionally slice and package imported cheese from Europe? Did you know about their giant international aisle, local farm partnerships, curbside pickup, wine department? Or that they donate 3,956 meals a day to local food banks? Well, now you do. It's all in the bag. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
Coach Mario Cristobal, great to see you, brother. We are in the thick of spring ball, and you and I were just kind of joking a little bit back and forth. They have all these rules. They're changing everything. We are still playing football, but they're changing the game on us a little bit. Just overall picture, brother, how's this spring been, and how you feeling where you guys are?
A lot of progress, but you are right. The rules are the rules, and you have to follow them, and you're limited in the number of days that you have and the things you could do during those days, but a lot of progress. And, we went into the spring just thinking that, we continue to just look for ways to evolve, but also to maintain the principles of being a physical football team, of playing tough, hard-nosed football, and then remedying the issues that can help us be a better football team. And the buy-in has been great. The practices have been high energy and have been really just productive. You have what 45 days to galvanize and create your one-year team, so to speak, right? 31, I believe, new bodies, new people joined the organization, not counting coaches, GAs, and analysts. So a lot of time spent together, and man, we feel really good about where we're at.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting to me, Coach, just as you go through, the different things on social media or different, writers and things of this nature, you guys won 10 games last year. It's really freaking hard to do. And the trajectory that you're on is so clear and so evident when you look at when you took over the program and the wins in between to get to 10. And to me, the biggest thing is just the roster. I mean, this is starting to look like a Mario Cristobal team. This is starting to look like what the University of Miami expects their football team to look like. Recruiting, transfer portal, things of that. So I guess how evident has that been for you, this spring and getting the right personnel and the right body types on Green Tree?
Yes, sir. Well, you see it every year. Football, unfortunately, it's not a microwave type of industry. To create and sustain a really good football team, you've got to invest time. You've got to invest in people. People have to develop. And we have stayed the course since the day we got here. And every single year, it just gets better and better. You see the growth, development, and the maturity of not only people, but the maturity of the culture. You never, ever just assume it's going to continue to get better. You hit the restart button every year, but you do see a lot of carryover. You see a lot of residue from a lot of the good things that the previous, set of seniors left. So, and then you see more freshmen that can contribute. I think, we have a chance to be a team that, successfully puts freshmen All-American out there at different positions. So all in all, it's just continued progress. It's just nonstop, relentless work at continuing to progress, winning 10. Now I've got to continue to improve, go compete. And the goal is always to win, right? A championship and to push forward from there without ever losing sight of today.
Right.
Also,
And yeah, no question. I think the way that you have, built this team, built this roster, and just your mindset for obvious reasons is inside out, right? Like we are going to dominate the line of scrimmage. The offensive line, I thought, took a massive leap last year. And you look at a lot of those guys being back. Defensive line this year, I think, has an opportunity to really make a lot of noise and take a big step back. I know those battles each and every day have got to be fun. Who's impressed you on both lines of scrimmage throughout this spring?
I mean, it's choose a different guy daily, I think.
Which is a great spot to be, by the way.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think the part, who really is worth talking about? The mentality. That's what's worth talking about. Yeah. Because you have players in their fourth year and fifth year that have chosen to go full throttle and really take advantage of these 15 practices. It has not been let me sit back, I've gotten enough rep type of thing. And we wouldn't allow that to happen anyways. But it's good to see guys that have been around a bunch. They got a taste of being really, really close to taking that next step as a program, and they want to make it a reality. And they know that the reality is getting better, pushing harder, elevating your teammates, coming together as an organization. So that's why this, and particularly like you mentioned, the trenches really, really stands out throughout this spring.
Yeah, which is what you want. And you look at the common denominators of the last however many national champions, that's it. I mean, if you have guys that are bigger, stronger, will hurt you, you're going to win a lot of football games. You also have to have a really good quarterback. And I do want to start with Cam Ward here before we move on to your current situation. He was just special, right? And yourself and other people had kind of told me leading into it and in the spring and over the summer, and it wasn't that I didn't believe you, but it was like, really? Can he be that good? And he was more so. He was more than what people told me. What did you see from him, and how fun was this past year with Cam Ward?
Oh, it was an absolute blast with him. It's, on top of everything else, it was, he complimented the team and the program and his teammates really well, and they complimented him really well. Yeah. I mean, it was, he had spent the previous couple of years under a lot of duress and playing from behind. And all of a sudden, he had stability at the offensive line and some experience at the skill positions. And when you put that guy with those types of players around them, all of a sudden the magic happens. And Coach Dawson knows how to dial it up really well. And it was from the get-go, it looked like a seasoned offense that really it brought a lot of change and certainly elevated the profile.
No, I don't think that was any question. Mutually beneficial, right? I mean, this guy's about to go number 1 overall. I mean, I don't think he was on anybody's board coming into the season outside of maybe late rounds. And, for him to do what he did, for the University of Miami to help him get to where he wanted to be, I think that sends a message loud and clear. Hey, you want to get developed? You want to increase your stock? This is the place that you can do that. And this is the place a ton of eyeballs are going to be on and looking at that. But even more than that, his mentality, Coach, just as a leader, as an alpha, it was so readily available. It seemed like day one.
Yeah, it's all in his parents. Miss Patrice and Calvin, they are one of a kind. They're awesome human beings. They've raised him in a manner where he oozes of those qualities. He is by nature a competitor. He's got a lot to prove. The chip on his shoulder is a good chip on that shoulder. His way of demanding the most of his teammates is, in essence, the way he demands more of himself as well. So you don't see any, a lot of times people confuse that with arrogance or being too cocky. It's the opposite. This guy had no care in the world about gaining an off-season accolade award. He didn't. He just wanted to win.
Right.
And he made everybody around him better. He's just scratching the surface. I mean, an NFL team is about to gain an absolute difference maker in a game. Sure.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. And you talk about the arrogance and the things of that nature. I think that when you prepare as hard as he can, you're going to be confident. When you dive into the film and you see what the opponents are doing and you see it present itself exactly how you know it's going to happen, I'm going to be a little confident too, and I'm going to be excited with the outcome on that field. Let's look at this year and your quarterback going into next season. Any updates or just where Carson is and things of that nature that Hurricanes fans can expect, I guess, probably in the summer and early in fall camp?
Sure, they're going to be excited when they watch him play. Obviously, his rehab process is taking him through the spring. He is throwing some balls right now, but in a very light manner.
Awesome.
In the next week or so, I mean, he's reaching full clearance in the next couple of weeks.
Wow.
And our return to play progress and our return to play specialist is really, really detailed guy that really works hand in hand with surgeons, with specialists, with everybody involved in that one particular player's circle. And he's got him ahead of schedule. And
awesome.
He is extremely smart, great presence. This guy, just again, you've seen enough film of him over 2 years to know when he's surrounded with the right pieces and the right scheme. He knows how to do it at a really high level.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because, I think a lot of people do want to point to last year and say, oh, look at the number drop off. This is what, happened there. What they don't want to talk about is how many drop passes this young man had to deal with and his receivers just fighting passes and not doing their part. I think this wide receiver unit that he's stepping in with is going to be better and more secure. Now, you've got some guys who have to step up, and it's their turn to be kind of the show. But what has your wide receiver core, I guess, done this spring to make you maybe think the same way I do about that?
Well, the first part is they've done a great job mentally, not busting. When you have a young crew, you think, okay, reload it, do it over. And that hasn't been the case this spring. These guys have done it right for the most part. Most of the time, and they're like one correction type of guys. If they don't get it right, they really pour into getting it right and doing it until they don't get it wrong. So it's pride over ego right now. They really want to do well by the University of Miami, and I think him, Carson, and the rest of the guys and the rest of the quarterback room, they're just doing a really good job of just keeping their mouths shut and just working. They really don't care about anything else. Just like Cam last year, he just went to work and let the play do the talking for him. He's got that type of a mindset, and our players they're coming together nicely, and that's what we want. We want just to shut out the outside world, work our butts off, and then go to the field and let that speak for itself.
That's when special things happen, right? When we all believe one common goal and don't have, like you said, those outside distractions, some fun things can happen. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball here just for a second and get you out of here. Really grateful for your time. You make a change at defensive coordinator. You bring in Coach Heatherman, and I've got to say, when I saw the headshot, I was terrified. And I think that alone will win you some football games. Why was he the choice? Why was he the guy? And what can we expect from his defenses?
Yeah, my son was terrified. He's like, "It's like a mean dude, Papa." You know, he's. It starts with him being an elite human being. I say that a lot when we hire, certain coaches. His knowledge of the game is extraordinary. His ability to articulate, teach, and mentor, and stay on that with passion, with intensity, and to be able to get through to our players has been absolutely awesome. This guy is very aggressive by nature in the way he calls a game, but he's very meticulous. He's very detailed in the way he coaches the technique and fundamentals of football. And it's all about the basics and being elite at the basics before moving on to all the other stuff. But we feel that as far as our personnel goes, he was by far the best fit. I mean, coaching a top 5 defense while he was at Minnesota, having an extraordinary year. It was more than just the numbers of being, top 5 this, top 7 that. It's the fact that what he does really fits what we have, what we recruit, and we think so highly of him. We expect significant improvement in that part of our team.
Yeah, kind of a big picture question. I wasn't planning on bringing this up, but the way you just stated that interests me. As a head coach, when you have an aggressive coordinator, offense or defense, and this one, it is specifically defense, and those tendencies, right? Like he's going to blitz when this happens. How I guess do you manage the emotions of knowing, okay, if we're all out blitzing here, something bad could happen. How is that for you when, things of that nature, or you could see something of that happening?
Oh, just let it eat, man.
Yeah.
We spend so many hours preparing. We go over through every single scenario humanly possible, a fourth down, that you got to get a stop to win it, a coming out play where we need the ball back. And, what do you want to call here?
Mm-hmm.
I guess the most important thing is that, again, what he brings to the table in knowledge, in experience, it just matches up what we have recruited and what we're going to continue to recruit.
Right.
And those players have had high level production. And when you hire a guy with that level of professionalism, the worst thing you could do is get in their way. You start trying to meddle in there. I'm not a defensive coordinator. I don't pretend to be, I mean, maybe I get one call a year that I like to throw away. But I don't. You got to let a professional, because he has answers. He knows the strengths of everything he calls. He knows the weaknesses of every call that he has. So the answers complement themselves. And I think he's a guy that understands as the year goes on that week 8, week 9, 10, 11, even before that, people have a lot of film on you. You've really got to do a good job taking care of stuff. I think we've addressed some things in the secondary, which really helps him out. After a couple games last year, we were decimated.
Right.
We didn't perform very well, on that side of the ball. So I think the combination of all those things bodes well for us.
Yeah. I mentioned the lines of scrimmage earlier, but I do want to dive into this D-line specifically because, when you think of how you guys have recruited, which has been the best in the ACC, I believe 3 straight years, number 1 in the conference, a lot of that superstar power has been among the defensive line. And I look at guys like Justin Scott, Ruben Bain, big Armando, guys that it's time to really, really step up. And I think they will. Mm-hmm. What have you just continued to see from that defensive line unit, and what's the expectation for them this fall?
Well, I think the first thing is perspective. We just signed a 3rd top class, but that 3rd top class, half of them went home this weekend for prom and for grad night. The other one just finished their freshman year, and the first class just finished their true sophomore year.
Wow.
Which back in well, you're way younger than I am, but back in the day, they would have been redshirt freshmen last year. So our first true class, they're now going to be true juniors or redshirt sophomores.
Yeah.
So it's starting to look like what it's supposed to look like, and now their bodies are changing. Now your presses are over. Your guys can press over 400 pounds. They can squat in the 5s and the 6s. Their cleans are in the 330, 350. The bigs are starting to look, lift, move things, collide like bigs at a high level are supposed to. Right. Block destruction should look different. You should be able to close your eyes and know when it's Ruben Bain and DC Marinoa, right?
That's right.
Those guys, and I mean that's a Jurassic Park type of collision.
Come on.
So, and now you're starting to see more and more like Justin Scott. Now, Justin Scott has put on a large amount of lean muscle mass and has trimmed down his body, and now he's really coming out with a flat back and getting hands on people. And he's never on the ground. He's a great athlete, So he's now has power behind that athleticism, and now he's been double teamed by CC Mino and Inez Cooper about 400 times in the past, year and a half. So
That's right.
all those things are starting to come. That's the exciting part. I spent almost my entire time down there in the trenches, and it's awesome to see. And we have miles to go, but man, I remember getting here in 22 and seeing what that area looked like,
right,
and what it looks like now, and it's man, it's so exciting. I love it.
Yeah. Big people hurt little people. Coach, you're getting me fired up. If you're just listening and not watching this, it's hard to see the excitement, the passion, especially when we start talking about those trenches.
I appreciate you always, man. Go Canes.
Thanks again to head coach Mario Cristobal for joining us. I was scheduled to be on the interview and then had something come up, so I was really bummed to miss it. I wanted to tell him, and next time we talk to him, I will, that I had some of the Cuban coffee when I was down in Miami when I was calling a women's game in February. And some guy, I wish I'd remembered who it was or gotten his name. He was definitely like an ops guy. He knew everybody, was in charge of things. He was walking around with shots of Cuban coffee.
Awesome.
And just offering them to people. And when he came to me, I'm like, I have to get this. This is what Coach talked about. So I took a shot, and I feel like I called a great game, Mac, to be honest. It was delicious. That's the secret to
success. You need to just have a little shot of Cuban coffee before you do anything and then go to work.
But I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, this is real. I mean, this guy's just walking around. This is what Coach was telling us about. The shots were very small, and I think that is for the best.
It's plenty. Yeah. It's a big punch.
Absolutely. Well, Mac, let's just give an update on kind of some of the stuff we've seen, because Miami had their spring game over the weekend. And it was interesting because spring games I feel like as a whole, they're a whole different thing now.
Right.
Miami played basically a modified scrimmage for a little over an hour at Cobb Stadium, the home of Miami's soccer and track and field and all that stuff. So it was just like a crowd of 5,000 people. The first half was full contact except for the quarterbacks. The second half was non-tackling. And so you just wrap them up. The defense beat the offense 25-20, whatever that means.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, it's hard to gather much from that. Carson Beck did not play, as we all knew, and Mario Cristobal had told people that. He's not been available. Spring recovers from the UCL surgery. Of course, there's a lot of time to get healthy before Miami starts things back up again. And it's hard to tell much if Carson Beck doesn't play.
Yeah.
The big things that I was reading, Mac, was the other quarterbacks kind of just looked like backup quarterbacks. Like it feels like if you're gonna at least try to have an offense that's somewhat similar to last year's. I'm not saying Carson Beck has to be Cam Ward, because he's not. And Cam Ward's probably gonna be the number 1 overall pick, but he's going to have to make some plays, right? He can't just kind of be a game manager.
No, for sure. And I do want to get your thoughts on, Carson Beck's kind of comments that were floating around earlier about a week or so ago. But I'm right there with you. And here's the interesting thing when you look at a couple of different things to break down there. And I'm going to start with Carson Beck. Is when Cam Ward came to Miami, he wasn't a first-round draft pick. He certainly wasn't the first overall pick. He turned into that and became that at Miami. I think Carson Beck can do something very similar because he was that guy a year ago. He was the first pick overall that everybody was so excited about going into the 24 season, and then they had the year that they did, and that kind of unraveled a little bit there. So I think that potential where you're talking about does Miami have back-to-back number 1 overall picks? Crazy.
Dang.
I think it's a real possibility just because of the nature of the quarterback position. Given what they've done with that offense, is he healthy enough to go full speed? I think he has better weapons and going to have better weapons at Miami than he did at Georgia in regards to receivers. I mean, look at who he had last year. I don't know if it's apples to apples. I mean, it's totally different things in my opinion there. So offensive line-wise, those guys are going to be sick. The offense is going to be fun. It's just going to be a matter of how quickly can it go together, not having the full spring. Hopefully he will have a full summer and a full fall camp where he's able to do that. So I'm fascinated to see that. And you talk about filling the shoes of Cam Ward, KG. He was really matter of fact when people kind of asked him that. And he said, I'm not coming here to try to be Cam Ward. And quite frankly, I was in a situation at Georgia where I filled the shoes of a guy that won 2 national championships. And we did okay. We went and won the SEC and did things of that nature. And then he kind of made a dig at his own team, which I thought was weird. You guys lost the Pop-Tart Bowl. And I'm just like, strange, but I do understand it. It's very different. The situation that he was put in at Georgia, where there's a ton of expectation, there's a ton of pressure, and obviously the people that they're playing there every single Saturday. So I don't think there's going to be a bright lights type of thing, a pressure from the guy that just left there. I think it's going to be flawless and work really, really well.
He's been in the pressure cooker. I mean, that's for sure. We know that. And that was kind of our question about Cam Ward last year, right? Can he handle being the quarterback at Miami? And I remember when you said you talked to him at ACC Media Day and you were like, this guy's legit. Ready. Like, he's so confident. He's ready to go. So, yeah, I did find Carson Beck's comments a little interesting, but, I get it's probably frustrating for him because he can't play right now, or at least can't, really get out there. And he's getting all these questions about Cam Ward, but he got all these about Stetson Bennett. Like he knows what that's about. But I do think it's interesting, Mac, because we've talked specifically with Xavier Restrepo about how much Cam Ward clicked with this team in the spring. It started in the spring. And it just feels like no matter how you want to spin this, it's not good that Carson Beck isn't out there yet. And Miami knew that. They knew that this was going to be a recovery. But, Mac, I mean, you can speak to this as a former player. Like, if you don't have your starting quarterback in the spring, it's not a deal breaker, but it can't be ideal.
No, it's definitely not ideal, especially when it is a new guy. It's one thing if, the guy's been there a couple years, we know who he is, we know what he's about, know how he does things. But I will say that there's enough things that you can do as a leader, especially with the NIL deal and all these different things, new world of, being able to do more financially for your guys where you can build that bond and you can watch tape. And again, you bring up Xavier Restrepo discussing, hey, 6 a.m. every day. Me and Cam are in there and the receivers, we're watching this together to see what each other see. I assume and would hope Carson Beck is doing that because you have to, right? Like you have to get on the same page. But then mechanically, you're right. It is going to be interesting from a timing perspective, from a throwing perspective, footwork. I mean, are we in sync on our routes? You've got time there. And hopefully, like I said, starting in May, June, he's ripping it and able to throw the ball because this will be a vital 3-month stretch to get us to August with them opening the season with the national champ runner-ups at home in Miami.
Absolutely. Okay, there's kind of one more piece I want to hit on. There were a lot of guys that didn't really play. Tight end, Elijah
Let's
Lofton
just say
didn't
this.
play.
Spring games were already like, you don't get a lot, but I feel like you're getting so much less. Like it is, let's just get rid of spring games. Can I propose this real quick, KG? We just need to do practices, and the last practice, invite fans to. Make it a fan fest, make it super nonchalant, no pads, jerseys, shorts, helmets, and it's everybody's having a great time. That's what it needs to be. You want to have the fan engagement, money, charge tickets to it if you want to, autographs, all that. We just need to get rid of the scrimmage in front of people. It's just two things. It sets way too big of expectation because people get super excited. But also, two, you've got like, if you mix it up, you don't have starters with starters, and you don't even have really what your team looks like. If guys are hurt and they're not even available, you're like, oh, we suck. And it's like, well, half your team didn't even play. So it's just a weird thing. And I'll even say this, the bigger thing to get rid of all of it, let us play other people. Let's have a day, a practice, a game where you go against, like the Colorado-Syracuse thing should have happened. Okay. That's outrageous that it didn't happen.
I hear you, Mac, but would coaches take that risk?
I mean, this is what's funny too.
You think?
Is if the right person says something, it's so much more magnified. Coach Sweeney has been asking for this for 10 years. I mean,
would Coach Sweeney really go out there and play Klubnik?
Yeah, for sure.
How long?
I think you have rules. You're not like, you don't hit them, and hopefully everyone plays by the rules. Sure, there's risk. There's for sure risk.
I have my doubts.
I think you get more from it, though. I think you legitimately can get more from it.
But then also, if you're playing a legit game, there's going to be tape, right? And then you've got the portal implications.
It's true.
I'm being a Debbie Downer on your idea. I'm sorry, Mac. But no, I mean, I think that'd be great for fans, obviously.
Yeah.
Be great
I
for
don't
fans.
know. You know what we need is better leadership up top and
Wow.
the NCAA to dissolve. And who knows? Whoever comes in to be the czar of college football, let's get it going.
Yeah, we all know that. Okay, the one name I wanted to hit on was Malachi Tony, early enrollee, freshman, wide receiver, who apparently had a great day. Big explosive touchdown on a slant from Emory Williams. They're very excited about him. So
Yeah.
again, kind of like you're saying, sometimes these games can set too high expectations.
Right.
This kid has had high expectations though. So this could be really fun to see what he can do.
Yeah, I think it will be. And again, just seeing this offense, at the end of the day, what a Mario Cristobal team wants to be is ground and pound, run the rock, be very physical, and then let's take some shots off of that. If you have a guy like you just mentioned in Tony that's super fast, can make the big play down the field, that's what you need, because then those safeties will start creeping back. And as soon as they come up, because you're running the ball at will, there he goes, right over their head. I'm looking at for JoJo Trader to step up and have a really big year. We saw some flashes from him. Couple of transfers that they bring in. Are they done in the transfer portal? And some other, freshmen that you like to see there. So it'll be interesting at the end of the day. What does this team look like? What do they do offensively? And then defensively, just to kind of close us out, Coach touched on it a couple of minutes ago, but they addressed their needs in the secondary. They went out and got dudes that they like, that they feel like are game changers and real big difference makers. But that defensive line is going to be sick. I think Clemson, far and away, number one in the conference, probably number one in the country when you look at who they have. Miami has a chance to be up there too, though. And I'm going to be really excited just to see what those guys can look like on the defensive line, how much chaos they can ensue up there, because they've got, it's like there's going to be like 4 or 5 stars walking out there any given play. And that's awesome. That's fun to watch.
And that's what you need to be elite. We all know that. And Ruben Bain, Akeem Mesidor, I read this, Mac. They didn't participate in the tackling portion of the game.
I wouldn't either. I wouldn't either.
But so they're just out there going through the motion.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows? But
Weird
we're
times.
trying to glean something from this Miami Spring game. I think we got a little something, but really we got some good stuff from Coach Cristobal. So we appreciate that. And this concludes our spring updates, Mac. We're going to do an NFL draft recap from an ACC perspective next week. And then we're getting into summer guest. I can't believe it's going to be fun.
It's one of my favorite things we do. We're going to have a lot of cool conversations, a lot of fun guests lined up. So just strap in, hold on, let's go, because it's summer guest time. And then it's going to be kickoff before you know it, y'all.
I know.
And we are super, super close. So big shout out to Coach Cristobal. Thank you, Cam, for setting everything up. Big shout out to Ingles as well, of course, for making all this happen. But big shout out to you guys going on this journey with us. We always appreciate you. And if you stick around this long to hear us say this every week, we appreciate you. So subscribe, jump on the train with us, leave some comments. Tell us what you think about the Canes. What are the Canes going to do this year? Is it championship or bust? Are they even thinking about that right now? Who knows? Let us know, Canes fans, what you think about this upcoming season. And until next time, we'll see y'all.